Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Wise Wednesday. My guest today is the very illustrious Mistry Elavia, who's here to talk about her book Beyond IQ, and a book which Mani I wish I had when I was trying to raise Rahul and Ria. So it's one of those, and you can see nicely well thumbed, well bookmarked, and for those of you who are not like huge into reading books in physical print, this is 89 pages of superb wisdom that you should keep in the library. So, Mani, before we just tell our audience a little bit about you, maybe why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you and what brought you to write this
Yeah.
book?
Thank you, Deepa. And actually, even I wish I had a book like this when I was bringing up my daughter. And that's the very reason I have written this book. Well, I'm a social worker by profession, and I have worked with children across sectors, across class. And from the
Even
last
rural, you've seen
even
children.
rural and urban. In fact, I have created a environment-based, non-formal education, a bridge course for children to be put in the higher classes in the school.
Wow.
So it's the through various experiences, and in the last somehow I landed up by default working with children in the last 10 years of my professional life before I started freelancing. And it is through this insight of bringing up my own daughter and then working with children in institutions for 10 years and later on now coaching parents. This book actually is a product of all that experience.
Wow. So there's life experience at home, there's the institutions
Work
experience
experience.
working with children of, who may or may not be with parents.
Yes.
And these are, some of them are
Mainly without parents.
without parents. And the coaching experience that you have if
Yeah.
these years.
Yeah. And conducting life skill courses for children, because then it is also that is one more way of interacting with children.
Yeah. Money is also known as grandma money. So there is her personality, which is so affectionate, and I think the children who have gone away from the institutions, I think they're still in touch with you.
They are still in touch. We have a WhatsApp group, and they keep in regular touch. In fact, for anything, they are free to pick up a phone and ask, what line should I take? Should I, yes, last night, should I apply for TISS master's degree or should I go to another college?
Amazing.
So they do get in touch.
And they also come to you with other problems like life problems, or
Yeah, they do. And some of these children were, have a single parent children, but whose mothers can't bring them up.
Mhm.
So even their parents now do come once they have gone back home.
Okay.
So even parents come.
Amazing. So, when you were doing this book, which is really, I think, life experience, work experience of how many years now, Mani, you've been doing work with children?
But see, with children, I have been working
30
throughout my
years.
life. No, now I have completed 40 years of my professional
Oh,
life.
40 years. I mean,
Thought little about it. But working specifically with children is, say, from 2012. Sorry, not 2012. 2002.
2002. So that's
From
also 21
2002
years.
to 2012, I was working in institutions,
Ah.
with institutions, and then independently.
Okay.
So 20 years.
And when you say beyond IQ, it's beyond IQ for both parents and for children.
Actually, it should be, but parents, I think, still what we used to say earlier. Even if you cannot afford great, I mean, if you are not very rich and cannot afford to give a child a wealth in legacy, people would say education is the best legacy that we can give children. Huh? And even if you could afford, we would feel that education is one thing which we could give children. But we had never thought of emotional and social quotient.
Yes.
We even thought of values, that we have moved from education to values to personality development to cope with this volatile world and competitive world, and we send our children for 110 things, coding and public speaking and number of things. But there is not. Yes, now in corporates, when the person already becomes a staff, there are emotional development, emotional programs, but there is none for children, and I don't think it is required for children. The best people who can sharpen the emotional and social skills are the parents,
Yes.
because it is all about only the way you, what you communicate with the child, how you communicate it with the child, and the opportunities you give them. And if parents are, I feel like gardeners.
Yeah. Have your coffee.
No, that's okay.
So, in Mani's book Beyond IQ, every chapter is according to the age cohort, and it also talks about with some small case studies and examples. What are the things to do? So, Mani, one of the chapters that struck me very much was the one where you talk about sibling rivalry and how
Yes.
you link it to the life skill of negotiation. And I thought that was like, I have been thinking about sibling rivalry, what happens to two kids, three kids. And, and when you talk about it as nature's lab to teach social skills, I think chapter 9 was just fantastic on how you talk about it with the developmental purpose that sibling rivalry serves.
Yes. Yes, I also realized it very late. In fact, I didn't have a need to be bothered about sibling rivalry. I had only one daughter. But I realized it very late that it is like nature's lab, where if you, it's, you have to only leverage
Yes.
what happens at home. This whole book, actually, if you go to see, is how you handle situations day to day with children. But it also, if we read it properly, it gives a lot of caution on what can impede the growth
Yes.
or what can harm the growth of the child. And that does happen. I was counseling one child last week. I
Mm-hmm.
was counseling a child last week, and I found her to be very.
How
She's a
old?
10th standard student.
10th standard.
She's a child with parents going in a study class, and I was taking a session in the study class on life goals,
Okay.
with those children. And that time I found her very good with me, because I already have, I think, number of sessions with them. So she was comfortable. And one day we had a meeting with the trustees, and she was so nervous, and her family members also said her, it was a parent teacher meeting, so that she is very inconfident and nervous. So next time I met, I asked her, I find you so good. You are the person who's so clear about what you want to do in life. You are so clear about your passion, which other children are not talking about. Then what is this inconfidence related to? Why do you feel this fear? So Bato may we realized that in the third standard, the teacher had abused her a lot, to the extent that she had to drop out of school. Now you see that one incident had such a deep impact on the child. And at home, so often we may label a child, or we don't pay attention on the child.
People
So
are
what?
busy with mobiles.
Yeah. So what is the impact it has on the children? Even my daughter, like my mother expired in 2007, and she could not attend her funeral. And that 2007, and that she was in seventh standard. Huh? That 2007, she says, "Mommy, something is troubling me about 2007." She told me in 2012. What was it in 2007 that is troubling me? So I don't know how your mind functions. It had gone deep into her mind. And this we are unaware of.
Yeah.
And I don't blame parents. See, about the subconscious and all is a new, fairly new, not absolutely new understanding. So I thought all these things, are highlighted in the book.
And there are the C words that you talk about
The three
communication,
C's.
the three C's to embrace and the two C's to keep away. You want to just briefly talk about that?
Yeah.
I think that's
Um,
beautiful.
See, actually, bringing up a child, developing emotional intelligence in the child is all about the messages you give, how you communicate, and what you communicate.
Yeah.
And so that's why we made it into a very simple thing that embrace the three C's. That is, one is how much do we connect with our kids,
Yeah.
and how much do we, and what do we mean by connect? Just one day hugging a child is, yes, you are loving, but is the child confident to talk to you about anything? So looking into the eye level of the child, not giving spatial time to the child. That's the way you connect. The other C is compliment. It's something I have missed out in my life. I must sort of say. Um, what has happened is you compliment once in a way, but when a child does anything, which we may think, Array, it is so what, she has to keep a cupboard clean, or she has to, put her plate always in the kitchen properly. No, these things are also to be complimented. What we think is a routine behavior,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a natural behavior, it needs to be appreciated once in a way.
So small efforts.
Those are small efforts of children need to be appreciated. And we often miss it out.
Mm.
And that, boosts the self confidence of the child.
And maybe reinforces
Improves
good behavior.
reinforces good behavior, improves the self esteem. And self esteem is one very important part of emotion,
Yes.
emotional maturity.
Yeah. Amazing.
And see, I'll just ask you this question.
Yeah.
Is you would have read it also, but as I've said, like a child who is failing in a subject, and you must have read it, but just still tell me honestly whether what you thought when the first question arose. And the child just passes. The father says, "I'm happy with you that you have passed, but you could have got much better." Which means the child senses that my parent is not happy.
Not happy.
So all the, it's not happy. So the second is, I'm glad you got 40%, but you have the capacity to do much more.
Hmm.
That but again, so whenever I ask any parent just like that, or in any interview, you have read the book, but that which of the two is better? They say obviously the second one. No, but is a big game spoiler,
Yeah.
because the moment you say but, it means I'm not really happy.
Hmm.
So it's how you word. So it is also saying that parenting has to be very mindful. You have to be a mindful parent.
Yeah.
And once we start practicing, I don't think it's difficult.
And the two C's to avoid.
Yeah, that is criticism and comparing. So criticism, see, correction is always better. As I've said, criticism just points out something wrong, while correction gives an alternative to the child. And isn't an alternative is always much better.
Yeah.
It's like criticism gives heat while correction gives light.
Nice.
Light to go where you have to.
Beautiful.
But we also have to be cautious that you don't mix the criticism and correction together.
Hmm.
That, because then the criticism only is still, resonating in the mind, and the correction is missed out.
Hmm.
The other is comparing. So often parents say, हम तो ऐसे नहीं करते थे हमारे पेरेंट्स के साथ. We never used to, where we never went to all these hotels so regularly. Why you want to go? Yeah, but we are of another generation.
Yeah. And we forget that.
So it is not, as now a little bit of understanding is come. Don't compare your child with another child. We still do. Don't compare one sibling with the other. It's still harmful. And in fact, you are messing up the bonding of the two children. And the third is then you compare is yourself, but your life was very different.
There was one thing in this book when you talk about the whole aspect of what makes a person feel secure and how do you develop trust. I think that's again a very
Yeah,
important one,
that
and
is
also very important for children in institutions, right?
yes. I tell you, if we understand that, I'm proud to say that we have brought about 365 degrees turn in children's life.
Just by trusting.
Just no, just by trusting and just by positive parenting.
Hmm.
And this is where they don't even have a single parent. Of course, I was there like a parent, but there were so many caretakers who were also trained. But like it's still a very different situation from a home. And if we can bring about a 365 degrees turn in those children's life who were like moving from a sound of music situation
Yeah.
till even today they are so stable, um, with our children we can surely do much. So trust and security are the core. If you trust and if you feel secure, then you are going to interact positively. Your social skills will automatically develop. You will be able to praise the other person. You will be able to work in the team.
You won't
You
be
don't need to
mistrustful.
you don't need to compete wrongly. Competition is not bad, but what type of
Healthy
competition?
competition.
Healthy competition. Then it builds resilience. Like if you are secure, a failure will not upset you. But if you are insecure, it's sure to upset,
Correct.
and you will lose your total confidence.
So when you were writing this book, what was your style of writing? How were you writing it every day? Thoda thoda.
See, I am not a very organized person, and if I try to be, I'm very frankly, honestly saying, if I try to be organized, I don't work that efficiently.
Okay.
Now it is contradicting, but that's what I'm saying. So I went to an authors training course.
Okay.
We are part of teachers, leaders,
Okay.
and we have a course, and it's part of that whole group. Once I have paid the membership, that training, and then what he had said: develop chapters, put down points, spend at least 2 hours every day in the morning. It did. So when I was in the mood of writing, this is a wrong way, but that's what I did. But I think that there are many friends of mine who have not written because they cannot get up in the morning and give some time,
Ah,
because they cannot do in an organized way. So the option is you write when you are in the mood of writing,
correct.
when some thought comes in your mind, pen it down.
So,
And so I wrote down everything that I wanted to write, and then I organized it into
acha.
chapters.
Okay. So first it was just flowing. What was
It
in
was
your
just
head?
flowing. What I want to talk about emotional and so. And for me, I am obsessed with. I even right from the time I brought up my child, my mother and my husband took care of her physical needs, her nutrition, her studies. I had a very hectic job, and I was the person who focused more on the emotional and social development.
Nice.
Both of us were working. I mean, not that why it was absolutely partitioned, but that's it. So right from that time, this was in my mind because I feel it is very important. I have seen cases where not all. My mother was brought up in an orphanage and she had an excellent personality. But I know, and nowadays institutions have changed. But I know some of my one of my nurses' husband, as well as some other institutional people, who could not trust because they never had an experience of security and trust,
Themselves.
or self identity, being brought up in an institute.
So you say your mother was in an
Yeah.
institution, and was she adopted afterwards?
No, no, no. She was not adopted. She lost her parents at young age, and she was in Africa. Brought down, came to India, and she was brought up in an orphanage, which was very good. But it is still an orphanage. And straight from the orphanage, she got married to the person she liked.
Okay.
She was lucky that way. But that the personality did not indicate anything of what we think institutional life can do.
What could have been the reason for that? It's very interesting.
I had not thought of what could. The institution is good. The institution is good today also. It's one of the very good schools. She was in the Zavabai Petit Orphanage at Bandra.
Bandra.
Hmm. And but I don't know. Maybe her personality as such. First 7 years must have been very good.
Yes.
Before
That's
her
when
parents
the
died.
0 to 7 is a
0 to
very
7 must have
important.
been very good before the parents died. So all would have, and not at all institutional children have problems. I don't say that,
Yes.
but it depends on what type of institute it is.
The one of the things that I wanted to go a little deeper into is when you talk about discipline, and in a situation when there are conflicts among adults in the house
That's terrible.
between parents, grandparents, and parents. So, in a conflicted household, how much of what the book says?
Child
Uh,
suffers. Child suffers because I have seen the personality, the thematic perception tests of children where there is a lot of conflict between the parents, and the child develops a lot of guilt. She feels it is because of her that the parents are fighting. It is because of her that my mother and my granny can't get along, and it has a terrible impact.
why
And
does the child feel like that?
you never know what goes on into their mind. Now again, there are personalities, but this has come out.
The
This has
child
come
is
out in the test.
bearing
Yeah,
that guilt,
yeah,
burden of guilt.
yeah. Where's the burden now? Because the fights are over the child.
Okay.
If the fights are over the child, not if the fights are not over the child. So see, it's like how you want to bring up and how I want to bring up.
How I want to indulge the choice.
How I want to, yeah. So that is the time where these problems arise. No, the child has to study, and the mother says it's okay if she doesn't pass also, or don't if she doesn't if she's just too adamant. I don't think she should be beaten, hit, and the other says she will not learn in any other way. It's all like that.
So even the approaches to
The
discipline
approaches
may
the
be
approaches
different.
to discipline cause a lot of, then between the grandparents and the child, and the child starts making use also. Some child feels guilty, or this is what that the child starts making use also of,
Manipulating.
yeah, manipulating. And that's why we always suggest it's good to have um, a family meeting
Ah. So
once in a
who
while.
leads that meeting?
One of the parent has to be, first of all, the mother and the father has to be agreeing to have this type of meetings,
In the
and who would
presence
lead.
of the child?
Yeah, yeah. Family meetings are no. The one is that they have it adults.
Ah.
There are different types of family meetings. When there is a conflict between the adults, it's a family meeting between the adults, and you come to a common understanding. Like I myself had to come to a common understanding. Like I believe totally in the Montessori method and all. And well, in my husband's house, it was a different, nice, supportive people, but it was a different, upbringing.
Mhm.
So then both of us had to compromise. No?
Yeah.
Then even for in terms of religion, how much a child should be like, how much you should insist on religious practices and all for everything. So I think one has to come to the fact that we have decided to bring up a child, the fact that we have got married with different opinions.
Yes.
You have to learn to,
Find a common ground.
yeah.
You talk about the importance of affirmations.
They are very useful. I find them very helpful, and they do help the children also because it goes into the subconscious. It goes into the subconscious. This same girl I was talking about,
Yeah.
I said, see, you now start talking because
This
I
is
said,
the
the
girl-
girl who was inconfident
Yes.
because of that teacher.
Third standard
Huh.
teacher.
I said, your parents are supportive. Why don't you just write that I have all the confidence to interact with anybody, to put forth my views to anybody, and also have, see, water is retained for a long time in our body. So it is believed that you look into the water and see, and then drink that water. It helps. She came running to me the next time I went, and she said, "It is helping me.
Okay.
It's helping me." I can now talk more confidently with my neighbors. Now it could be psychological, it could be, it's your subconscious mind which is working. There is no great miracle.
Correct.
It's controlling your subconscious mind.
When you were writing the book Money Beyond IQ, who were you addressing really? I mean, what were you visualizing? Who were you seeing as your reader?
Yeah, I was addressing simple parents.
When you say simple parents,
It's see, this book is basically, it is not at all an academic book. If you see, my language is also very simple. Like my sister said, hey, Mani, it doesn't look like, a book. I said, I don't care. I want to communicate. What and any parent who picks up should not find it difficult to read, should not find it heavy to read, because otherwise they will not read. My purpose is talk to any parent who wants to bring up a child. Now it could be a parent who is highly educated. It is for them also, though they may initially think what is the need. See, I'm a psychology student and I have made so many mistakes bringing up my child. I'm a psycho entire student. Where has my psychology made me foolproof? No, it has not. Parenting is plus with every generation it changes.
yeah, like they say, parenting is the single largest reserve or the preserve of the amateur. You don't let anybody do surgery. You don't let anybody look after patients. You don't let anybody go and teach your child.
Exactly.
But you let anybody go. You can't let anybody go and drive a car. You need a license. But there is no license required for
Yeah.
parenting.
Exactly. And the thing is, life is changing, experiences are changing. So the parents also have to be. I have written a ebook, Who Moved My Cheese. I've written two ebooks. I am editing my ebook, Who Moved My Cheese again. But I have written two ebooks. One is.
Is it inspired by Who Moved Your Cheese?
It is inspired by Who Moved My Cheese. I had read Who Moved My Cheese a long ago, and suddenly I don't know. One day again, we thought we should talk about various books and how it will help parents. So I said, Who Moved My Cheese is also very important. People have to learn to change. Parents have to learn to change because uh, otherwise they are not up. I mean, they won't reach out to their children. They won't be able to protect their children.
It's a very important point you make. Protect the children.
You cannot protect your child, and then you have to be able to connect with your child. If you still think of that highly respectable behavior and get affected by any way in which the child, I'm not saying let your child do whatever they want, but the child is mixing with everybody in the world, so you can't expect them to be the child that you were. So I have written that book. I will send it to you once I edit.
Which is the.
Sorry.
No,
No, say,
no, go on.
no. The second one that I have written is it's a 20-page booklet on prepare your child for a sibling.
Beautiful. Prepare your
Because
child for
for
a
a
sibling
sibling.
is a big one.
Yes. That is very practical. Somebody may not be, what who moved my cheese. Prepare your child for a sibling is more.
Maybe the
practical.
title people won't connect with. What the book
Who moved
inspired
my
by
cheese?
book, they may not understand it. Maybe.
Lessons for parents from Who Moved My Cheese.
Ah,
And I long ago had spoken about it on YouTube.
okay. You have a talk on that on YouTube.
Yeah.
And where does one have access to the booklet on preparing for a sibling?
You can send me your email ID and I'll send it to you.
Okay. So there it goes. You can send your
You can
email
send me
ID.
your email ID and I can send it to you. You may send me your WhatsApp number and
You can get it
I'll
on
WhatsApp to
WhatsApp.
you.
Yeah. Amazing.
And I'm going to write a number of such books because I feel somebody may not take this, somebody may have a specific problem, are interested in a specific issue. Then they should not be left out.
Yeah. So you're basically trying to help. I think Money, your purpose is to raise happy children.
Raise happy children and help parents feel fulfilled. Both the things.
Raise happy
Because-
children and help parents to feel
Yeah.
fulfilled.
Yes. And it's not just happy. Children who can cope with any adversity in life.
Resilient children.
Resilient children. happy, resilient children.
I think that's very important in these
Yes.
times, being resilient.
Exactly. So that's my
So there's a number of books that we can expect from you.
yes.
And
Right.
so beyond
Booklets, that will not be books. Because I realize that books is too much of publishing and everything.
Yeah.
This is specific. People can select, pick and choose.
In fact, we are going to be doing more talks with Mani around adoption, which is also an area that Mani is very passionate about, and that's children in need of care and protection, as we call them. So we will have another Learning Monday with Mani Mistry. This one is specifically a Wise Wednesday when she is coming to talk to us about Beyond IQ. So that was Mani Mistry Elavia, one of our very dear friends and mentors to all projects we do in the context of children and parenting, and clearly one of the authorities who has such humility about her and so much grace that you can't help but say, mummy or grandma or all the children who have interacted with her. I don't think they let go. She's like a child magnet.
I love children also.
So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming in,
And thank you for listening, and thank you, Deepa, for giving me this opportunity.
keep writing,
Yes,
and you guys keep reading.
sure.